And here we go. All right, everybody. Stocks by the numbers. Welcome back. And I'm sure you've been seeing the absolute raging Cajun Super Microcomputer Incorporated symbol SMCI listed here on the NASDAQ. Stock closed $45 even, taking a 6-point bump today. Almost 16% on the close. Was up a little more after hours as well, down about a quarter right now. But basically, this stock went up to 46.57, and we can see I actually mentioned multiple levels here in the Discord and out on X. If you want to follow me on X, again, add stocks by numbers. And I was pointing out these trend lines here of about 42. I was speaking about this fib here close to 45. And now it looks like if this happens tomorrow, if we immediately beeline to this trend line, we're looking at about 49.5. So in my opinion, that really should be the next stop. However, we did just, gap up. Market's been running, tech has been up, so if we do happen to have, like one or two sell-off days, we could always come back and fill this gap before bouncing and going back higher, right? So again, not saying that it's going to happen, but just keep that in mind. But SMCI got a pair of very good news updates coming out. First, as we see, SMCI was actually up bigly yesterday on the news of Raymond James coming out giving it an outperform rating, price target $41, talking about how it's a leader in the AI space, right? And we brought up articles and spoke about it months and months back, how they were saying that SMCI was going to be a pure AI play, and it's kind of like in its own little area, and it's going to have a big market share of all of these new data centers coming online. And it just sounded too good. It just sounded too good in my opinion. And the whole time they were bashing it, they were beating it up. And again, we got the prelim numbers coming out here for the earnings. Stock drops down to the trend line, sub 30. Earnings come out. Slight miss on the top and bottom. Actually, they missed by a chunk on the top and bottom line. But we still have deals coming in. We still have guidance moving forward of, growing by tens of billions of dollars year over year, the business overall. So that's why really, no matter which way you look at it, I kept saying that in my opinion, the stock is just undervalued. And that's why when we first brought it up and surged it up here, this was, in my eyes, where the stock really should have been. And then we went through, the Hindenburg report that turned out to be bullshit. And then, they delayed the filing, which they chunked the stock down, but then they got the filing in, so that brought the stock back up. So now we're kind of just bouncing around, but I have to say, in my opinion, I think that price target upgrade, even though it's only 41, which of course we're now 10% above, so it's irrelevant, but it was a good sign, because as this BS news started to hit the cycles, what were we seeing? We were hearing all of these other institutions, all of these other analysts, they were coming out and they were like, oh, we're going to lower SMCI to market perform with like a $36 price target, right? So that's why when Raymond James came out yesterday, I was tweeting and I was saying in Discord that in my opinion, this is much, much bigger than people even realize. Then, boom, cherry on top, we get the news from Saudi Arabia, which we can bring up here as soon as I find it. Here we go. It's funny too, people were talking about Qatar, right, giving the jet, and now all of a sudden here we get news of Qatar ordering 160 Boeing jets for over $200 billion. One hand washes the other. It's the world of business, It's the world of business. We have a businessman at the helm. This is it, this is how it's going to work, even when he speaks about it in his book, The Art of the Deal, again, using leverage with the tariffs and whatnot. So I know a lot of people might want to jump down his throat, or, they might come out and say like another country did something and it might not make sense. Or you might initially hear the news and you might say, wow, that sucks for us. Or, we got the crappy end of the stick on that one. But as we've seen, really, for the most part, time and time again, you just got to give Trump the time. And eventually, these deals will get done. And again, $200 billion order to Boeing, largest order in the company's history. That's technically good news. But Supermicro here and DataVolt, Saudi Arabian data center company, have signed a multi-year partnership agreement valued at $20 billion, the company said Wednesday. The deal seeks to, quote, fast-track delivery of ultra-dense GPU platforms and rack systems for Data Vault's hyperscale AI campuses in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the US. Supermicro shares were up 17%. Also, another cherry on top, AMD, I'm sure you guys have seen, has a rebound, hit about 118 today, on its way back up. I was saying, in my opinion, it's going to get back potentially to that 138 trendline level. Excuse me, but you can see here, Wednesday launched a $6 billion share repurchase program. Semiconductor company said the new program adds to the $4 billion balance remaining from its existing buyback program as of March 29th, bringing the total current repurchase authority to $10 billion. AMD shares up almost 5% on that news. So we're getting good news across the board. It's been pretty much good news for most American tech, which is kind of what I was saying months ago. As Trump got in, as the ball dropped, I was saying, in my opinion, American tech. And also, I understand people speak about NVIDIA, they're the front runner, they're the biggest in the tech sector, I understand. But again, I was talking about, in my opinion, that there might be more upside potential to the backup players. Whether it's Dell, whether it's Vertiv Systems, right? Shout out to the Discord crew and all you guys in the community who been watching that one as well, VRT. All of them, though. SMCI, AMD, right? The backup players, in my opinion, have more upside potential than the company that is already having the spotlight on it for how many, several years now, with a market cap of trillions. Right? So in my opinion, that's why I always said, look at the backup players. But again, that's just me. You know, if you want to sit there and say, hey, listen, NVIDIA's leading the way, I'm just going to buy NVIDIA, understandable. You know, I'm not going to argue too much with you, but SMCI, we did get the actual release of these numbers, and again, we brought the stock down again on that news and then bounced it right back up. And the last 2 days we had really, really good news headlines come out for SMCI. So that's why I say, in my opinion, next stop should be about this trend line here of about 49.5. Let's check stock charts real quick. Boom, random ad. We can see the RSI on the daily now 69 1/3. Last time we spiked up, though, you can see the RSI did get above 70 and actually hold there for about 2-3 days. So that might not necessarily stop it, but the RSI is technically approaching that benchmark. But the good news is, we can see yesterday we beamed right up above the 50-day moving average, and today we just completely gapped up and chunked up right above the 200-day moving average. Nice there. Which was slightly below $40, as you see here. Top Bollinger Band on the daily, 40.80. Now the stock's at $45. So we completely popped up and out, which again is why I'm saying, you know, we could pull back and test the moving average and fill the gap, but as long as we don't have any big negative news coming out, you know, pre-market, mid-market, that can cause a reversal in all of these names, then these ads are ridiculous. But anyway, in my opinion, unless we have, you know, big negative news like that, then we really should continue on the up and up here. Again, this stock was really beaten up for a while. Now it's breaking up on the technicals. The only thing potentially is that RSI you'd keep an eye on, but in my opinion, I think it goes to 49 and it gets to that next trend line. The MACD was essentially flat, had a nice break to the upside, of course, the last couple of days, and now we're on the up and up. Let's check the weekly. Weekly RSI, 54 1/3. But again, we've had surges in the past here, and we know that we could, of course, just like on the daily, we could get above that 70 benchmark, and we could hang out there for a week or two. So only time will tell, but you can see, I mean, this is why, look at the growth of this stock over the years, and this is why, as they go through a couple of rough patches, and they're trying to beat it up in the news cycle, you know, people start jumping ship, people start losing faith. And believe me, I understand, because I know other stocks are moving. So you might be better off buying something else, getting out of this. Believe me, I understand. It's your money. Whatever you do with this information, entirely your own prerogative. But when I see something like this, this is a buy, in my opinion. Bringing it down, we're consolidating, chunked it down big. Now we're going sideways, tightening. And on the daily, we had the breakout. You could see here on the weekly, though, 50-day moving average, 46.30. Stock hits 46.57 and then pulls back here to close technically below the 50-day moving average. So that's why we could potentially start to see a little bit of a sell-off, maybe back to around 40. Wow, these ads. And, that could potentially fill the gap. But in the long-term time frame, we're still on the up and up. We still seem pretty bullish. So I think we actually go up to that trend line of about 49.5, and you can see the top Bollinger Band here on the weekly of about 50.5. So in my opinion, I think we're going to go to that range, 49.5 to 50.5. I think that's going to happen pretty darn soon. MACD, wow, this is ridiculous. MACD flat, breaking to the upside essentially, just like on the daily. And you can see the last time it broke up as well. It broke up, flashed above the moving average, and then pulled back a little bit to continue to tighten. But I do still say that right now it's hard to call in the short term, right? Because you could kind of make the argument for either direction. You can look at it the way I'm looking at it, and you can say, the whole situation's undervalued. They just got this, $20 billion deal out of Saudi Arabia. Stock should go up, right? That would make sense. Also, at the same time, you can say, stock just raged. This deal is for the next couple of years. The company technically just missed the earnings. So that's why, again, we could pull it back, 10, 12%, fill that gap real quick, bring it back down to earth, readjust the RSI, and then bounce it back up. So either way, really, in my opinion, I do think it's going to go higher. I just don't know if it's going to happen tomorrow or in like 4 days. But overall, looking good for SMCI here, in my opinion. Discord's been going wild. A lot of people now back to break even. A lot of people green on the position now. And again, also AMD, our other backup tech player, been doing very, very well. I was speaking about getting above this trend line here, close to 108. And you could see how we broke up above that trend line. And then, of course, we gapped up today with everything else. AMD up about 4.7%, 5.25 points. Almost back to 118 on the close. Hit 122.5 today. And you can see I had this kind of path drawn out here. Of course, I don't know exactly which days it's going to, maybe pull back or flatten out. But, you guys get the idea. But I've been talking about this in Discord as well. And you can see I basically just drew out this path showing that, it was going to get up to the line here, maybe hang out. And it was going to pop up again like it did here. Now we might hang out. But overall, I'm expecting another pop higher. I was speaking about this fib level here, 115.90, but of course you can see we opened up big today, all tech gapped up, so we cleared that level. But it might come down just like SMCI, right? It might test the fib, it might fill this gap that we just popped up to, but then in my opinion, I think it's going up here to this trend line. And if we kind of continue this trend, you can see you're looking at maybe about 137.5. In my opinion. So that's why I've been saying in the Discord, I feel AMD is on its way to like 137, 138. I think it's going to get back up. Again, downward channel for a really long time. But then, boom, we have healthy numbers coming out. And of course, again, the news of bumping up the share repurchase. As people used to say, if it's good enough for the company to buy shares here at 117, 118, then that should kind of show their conviction, show their confidence in their own shares moving forward over the long term, right? It kind of shows where they feel the stock's going to be over the next year or two, which is possibly why they beefed up that share repurchase program. But that's pretty much it. I'll end it there. So once again, stocks by the numbers up. Personal price target again. I love to keep saying it because I know it gets everyone pumped, but more importantly, I was saying it for a while, and I am 99% confident. I have that much conviction in myself, in the company. In my opinion, personal price target on SMCI stands at over $200 a share long term. But that's it. I'll end it there. So stocks by the numbers. Thanks for stopping by. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, drop it down in the comments section. I'm usually pretty quick to reply. Thumbs up algorithm helps me get more eyes on the channel. Subscribe to the channel. Of course, that's our handshake agreement. That's how you help me help you. But more importantly, moving forward, like I always say, I understand markets are rocky, volatile, and uncertain. So I want to wish all of you success. I hope everyone makes a couple of dollars. Thank you for your time. Have a good day.